Yeah, this is Mr. Elmhorst with a 6th grade math help video on the rational numbers minor grade. So we're going to take a look here at subtraction. We have 15 and 1/12, and we're going to take away 9 and 5/8. So here we have 15 minus 9, but if we look at this fraction, 1/12, and we need to take away 5/8, well, we already know that there's not going to be enough. 1 out of 12 is smaller than 5/8. So up front, what we could do is change this, and we're going to borrow from the whole number. So we can make this 14, and then we take 12 out of 12, which is one whole number, and then put that into the fraction. So the 12 out of 12, 12 plus 1 would give us 13. So we took one whole number and put it into the fraction. Now we go over here, it would be 14, and then we have 13 twelfths, and then we have 9 and 5/8. So here we're subtracting whole numbers, and we look to the right. Now we're going to have enough parts to subtract down below. So we have 13 twelfths and 5/8. 13 twelfths is going to be bigger than 5/8, so now we are going to be able to subtract the parts from the fraction. So now let's find a common denominator. So it looks like if we double 12, we're going to get 24, and we double 13, we're going to get 26. So down below, we're going to have to multiply 8 times 3 to get 24, and then 5 times 3 to get 15. So now that we have a common denominator, we can subtract the whole number minus the whole number. So that's going to give us 5. 14 minus 9 is going to be 5. And 26 minus 15. So 26 minus 15 is going to give us 11. So the denominator of the fraction is 14 now, and then there's 11 left over. So looking down below, we're going to subtract again. Looking at this fraction, 3/20 minus 5/6. 3 out of 20 is smaller, so we are going to have to borrow from the whole number. So borrowing from the whole number, we're going to make this 37, and then we're going to take 20 out of 20 as a whole number and put this with the 3. So over here we have 37, and then we have 23 out of 20. Now we can subtract 26 and 5/6. And we have 5/6 here. Have whole numbers on the left and fractions on the right. So it looks like 20 and 6, the first time that they're going to come together is probably going to be 60. So this one's times 3 times 3. So that's going to give us 66. And then we're going to do times 10 times 10. Got 50 out of 60. We have a common denominator of 60. And now we can go ahead and subtract the whole numbers. So 37 minus 26 is going to give us 11 for the whole number. And we can subtract our denominators. 66 minus 50 will give us 16. The denominator is 60, and then we have 16 on top. And it looks like this is an even number. We can divide both of these by 4, divide by 4, divide by 4. So that should give us 4 out of 15. After we subtract those two fractions, we should end up with 11 and 4/15. And one more fraction, mixed number subtraction problem for number 3. So first, let's look at these fractions. So this one is smaller because 5 out of 11 is almost half. 21 out of 22 is almost a whole number. So we're going to have to borrow from the whole number. So we take away one whole number from 7. That gives us 6. And then we're going to add in 11 out of 11 to the fraction. So 11 out of 11 is added into the fraction. We're going to have 6 as a whole number, and then 16 out of 11. So we put 11 and 5 together. So put a whole number in there so we have a large enough fraction to subtract from. And now go over to the other side. We have 6, and then we have 21/22. So it looks like 22. We have a common denominator up here. If we double it, 11 times 2 is 22, and then 16 times 2 is 32. We go back to the whole numbers, and it looks like we are subtracting. So 6 minus 6 is going to give us 0. And now that we have 32 and 21, we can subtract 32 minus 21. 32 minus 21, that's going to give us 11. The denominator is 22, and now the numerator is 11. And if we divide both of these by 11, all of this subtracts to 1/2. There is no whole number. We're left with 0. So the fraction left over after you subtract all of this is going to give us 1/2. Yeah. Number 4, we have mixed numbers. Here's a decimal and a fraction. And it looks like, how long did Liam study Spanish and math? And means we're going to be putting these together. So you have 0.25, and we need a fraction out of that. If you memorize this, you know it is 1/4. 1/4 is 25. But we can also put the decimal over a whole number, or a decimal over place value, and then that would be 25 hundredths, which also simplifies to 1/4. So now we're going to add them. We have 1/4 and 1/12. And let's do, this is 2/8 and then 3/12. So it looks like we have a denominator that we could use, a common denominator of 12. And now we're going to add the numerators. So 3 plus 1 is going to be 4/12. And if we simplify that, divide by 4 and divide by 4, that is going to give us 1/3 simplified to lowest terms. Yeah. Number 5, looking at this, we could probably do decimals to make it easier. 2 out of 5 is going to be equal to 4 out of 10. So that would give us 4 out of 10. And we convert that to a decimal, which would just be 4/10. So it says put together. If we put them together, we got 4/10 and 6/10, which would give us one whole number. So whether it's a fraction or a decimal, one whole number would be the same. So they're looking for the difference. It says how many more pounds of pistachios than. So this is going to be subtracting pistachios and almonds. So there's two ways to do this. You could do decimals, but 1/6 is going to be a messy decimal. So let's leave it as a fraction, 1/6, and then we could change this to 1 and 3 out of 10, 3/10. We have 1 and 3/10. So looking at the fraction, we have 1/6 and 3/10. If we are subtracting, we need to subtract 1 out of 6 and then 3 out of 10. This one is smaller. So because it's smaller, we're going to have to borrow from the whole number. So it's going to make it 2, and then we're going to add 6 out of 6 into this fraction. So that's going to give us 7/6. And we have 3/10. Now we're going to look at where would 6 and 10 meet up. And I believe they would meet up at 30. So times 3 times 3. And then this would be times 5 times 5. So you have 2 minus 1 is going to give us 1. And then we have 35 minus 9. Now we have same size pieces of 30ths and 30ths. 35 minus 9 should give us 26, and that is out of 30. And then we simplify that, looks like by a factor of 2, and that's going to give us 13/15.